And a new saga is coming, and once again, as it has been done, there will be a movie with an introduction to this new saga. Instead of adapting the entire saga into the movie and then replicating it in the manga, this time it will be just an introduction to something grand that is coming. And with that, we have the parallel of enemies being remade in Universe 6. This time, the big villain will also be Frieza, in quotes. Are you ready to meet the Saiyans from planet Sadala in this new saga? So come with me, subscribe to the channel, leave your like, and activate the bell. Don't forget to share this video with all your friends. Universe 6 was introduced to us shortly after we learned about the gods of destruction and the angels in the movie Battle of Gods, and it is the twin universe of Universe 7, which is where the Z warriors live. And with a great coincidence, Beerus' brother is the god of Universe 6, Kampa. So after all this, we also found out about the Saiyans of Universe 6, who were not like those of Universe 7. They were not corrupted, not by the power of the Oozuru, which can be controlled with elite training, but they weren't corrupted in their hearts to destroy and conquer planets. The warrior race there is more peaceful than that of Universe 7, which ended up destroying itself with that mindset. And even after rising again, they continued to commit the same atrocities. Because of this, Beerus allowed Frieza to destroy planet Vegeta and not give a chance for the imbalance they could bring to the universe. And since we had the Kampa tournament, where Vegeta took on a pupil, and also the Tournament of Power, where Cabba appeared again, along with two more Saiyans, Kale and Caulifla, Vegeta still has Cabba's request to fulfill, to visit Universe 6, where he would go to planet Sadala, the original planet of the Saiyans. And this saga would be the moment for Vegeta to shine, to truly crown himself as a true king among the Saiyans of Universe 7. Learning from the current king of Sadala, who might also resemble his father, King Vegeta, and Bardock, Goku's father, would be a masterstroke to emphasize. He would have the best of both, the duty of a king, but the kindness of a Saiyan who fights for what is right. This would close the cycle Vegeta has been going through lately and give way to new powers, a saga more about Saiyan pride than an actual battle. It would be a learning experience not just for Vegeta, but also for Goku. So it would start with a movie that would give more spotlight to the prince, and he definitely deserves it. And it would continue in the manga in this new saga, which would potentially include Broly in it. He would finally get something he never had, coexistence with his race on their planet. Actually, only Vegeta had a bit of that because the rest of the Saiyans didn't. But I'm talking only about those of pure blood, Broly and Goku in this case. And imagining this before even adding a villain would already be amazing. Imagine Goku and Broly finally traveling to planet Sadala, home of the Saiyans of Universe 6. It would be one of the most engaging and revelation-filled stories in Dragon Ball. So far, Goku has only had a brief glimpse of these Saiyans' way of life through Cabba, but never directly interacted with their culture or saw how their civilization operated. For Broly, who lived in isolation and never had contact with other members of his own race, it would be an even bigger shock. Upon arriving at planet Sadala, Goku and Broly would encounter a society completely different from the one that existed on the now extinct planet Vegeta of Universe 7. These Saiyans were never under Frieza's rule and never went through brutal wars to prove their strength. Instead of being conquering warriors like the Universe 7 Saiyans, the Sadala ones are protectors and fight to maintain peace, which would be a massive contrast to everything Goku and Broly know about their own race. Goku would be amazed by the fighting philosophy of these Saiyans and would surely want to face the strongest warriors on the planet to test his skills. He could challenge Cabba, Caulifla, and Kale to individual fights and learn more about their combat techniques. As for Broly, without Goku's competitive mindset, he might struggle to adapt to the more peaceful lifestyle of Sadala's Saiyans. However, as he interacted with them, he would realize it's not necessary to fight just to survive. He could find a different purpose for his strength. One of the most interesting aspects of this saga could be a crisis within planet Sadala itself. Maybe an ancient Saiyan warrior awakens and brings with him a radical ideology, believing that the Saiyans should abandon their peaceful stance and return to the path of conquest. This would create a deep dilemma for Cabba and the planet's other leaders, forcing Goku and Broly to get involved in the issue, alongside Vegeta, and help protect Sadala from this conflict. Broly could be a decisive factor in this fight since he represents the exact opposite of the Saiyans from Sadala, a brutal and overwhelming force. His presence could divide opinions among the planet Saiyans, with some fearing him as a threat and others seeing in him a warrior capable of elevating Sadala to a new level of power. Slowly, Broly would learn to channel his strength strategically, perhaps even developing a new fighting style based on what he learns from the Sadala Saiyans. It would be a great introduction to the saga. And who knows, this Saiyan could ally himself with Frieza, Frost. That would be iconic. Speaking of Frost, he could be the overall villain in the saga, just like Frieza was to the Saiyan planet, making Vegeta go through all of that again. But how could Frost be capable of doing something like this? Of being a threat equal to the current power level of the Saiyans from Universe 7 and even Universe 6? Let's see how. So guys, We have that moment from the Tournament of Power where Frieza betrayed Frost. Frost belongs to the same species as Frieza, which never had an official name in the manga, but is generally called the Frieza race or Metamorph race. Like Frieza, Frost has multiple forms: the base form, final form, and a form similar to the one Trunks used against Cell, full of muscles. Physically, Frost is basically a clone of Frieza, with a more bluish color, instead of Frieza's white and purple. Initially, he presents himself as a noble, diplomatic, and heroic warrior who resolves conflicts in his universe and seeks peace. This causes confusion and even some admiration from the Universe 7 characters, especially because he seemed so different from Frieza. But then his mask fell, and it was during the tournament that something happened. Frieza revealed his golden power, saying that if Frost trained, he could achieve this form. Then he betrayed Frost, who tried to attack from outside the arena and was erased right there. Since Frost was erased by Zeno directly and not as part of Universe 6's elimination, the question is whether he was included in Android 17's wish, who was the last one standing in the arena. But the answer is yes, Frost was restored along with Universe 6. Even though he was erased by Zeno, 17's wish included all living beings from the erased universes, and Frost was part of Universe 6. So, even though his exclusion was special, the wish was broad enough to bring him back to life, along with Hit, Caulifla, Kale, Kaba, and the others. This is also indirectly confirmed by official sources and encyclopedias from the Dragon Ball Super Universe, which mention that all warriors from the erased universes returned, without exception. That said, we can understand that he would indeed be the perfect villain for the saga in Universe 6. It would be a parallel to Frieza, who destroyed planet Vegeta of the Saiyans back at the beginning of Dragon Ball Z. So Frost would kind of be the villain here, but much stronger, because of his race and everything he saw from Frieza. He would be the perfect test to see how the Saiyans of Universe 6 would react to this extinction-level threat, and all of this during Vegeta's visit. Besides that, they could include Broly and Goku. It would be cool to see the 3 pure-blooded Saiyans going to planet Sadala. And Frost, having had a mini-training session with Frieza before being betrayed, knows he can go far. That, along with his motivation for revenge, would drive this saga. We will see how strong Frost will become, maybe even reaching a form beyond Golden. He could start with it, showing that no matter where they are, Frieza's race is very strong and has enormous potential. But judging by the Saiyans over there, who even have a greater potential than the Saiyans from Universe 7, then it might be fair to say that Frost has a greater potential than Frieza. I'll talk more about this in a second. The context now is, where will the saga go? It might bring internal conflicts to Vegeta, seeing his race being wiped out again, and this could emphasize his Ultra Ego, and he might gain a new form, an evolution of Ultra Ego, just like it happened with Super Saiyan Blue evolving into Blue Evolution, making even Goku and Broly respect him more as a natural leader who puts his race and pride above all else, and will fight to prevent that from happening in Universe 6. That being said, this saga would be incredible, possibly diving deeper into the Saiyan race, and revealing more about Frieza's race in the process, from Frost's side, explaining what it's like, how it works, and maybe even featuring a King Cold from there, maybe even his brothers, referencing Cooler. Who knows, maybe Cooler himself becomes canon in this saga too, or even appears in the movie, maybe as the enemy, and then Frost comes to avenge him, or maybe the reverse happens in the saga. That would be insane, especially because Dragon Ball's story has always been a dance between warrior races and extraordinary individuals. But few comparisons are as intriguing as the parallel between the Saiyans and Frieza's race, and we want to know more about them. Both groups have an almost symbiotic connection with war, domination, constant growth, but each follows this path in very different ways. While Saiyans evolve through pain, through overcoming, through internal conflict, Frieza's race seems to have been born nearly perfect, with raw power that defies logic and an evolution that, when it does happen, is as fast as it is brutal. And within this universe of comparisons, the emergence of the Saiyans from Universe 6 and of Frost as a counter to Frieza lights up this fascinating discussion. Could the raw potential of this new universe even surpass the icons of Universe 7? The Saiyans from Universe 7, led by Goku and Vegeta, carry a history of bloody battles, tribal pride, and an archaic warrior culture. Since the beginning, it was clear they rely on extreme experiences to evolve. Goku only reached Super Saiyan after Kuririn's death on Namek. Vegeta had to sink into frustration, pride, and jealousy to achieve the same feat. Every new Saiyan transformation in Universe 7 has always come as a result of trauma, extreme training, or sheer obsession. It's like pain is the essential fuel for their species, almost biological. Meanwhile, the Saiyans from Universe 6, like Kaba, Caulifla, and Kale, show a completely different approach. They're calm, more centered, and don't carry that destructive past. They live in a modern, organized society, no conquered planets, no genocide under tyrants. And perhaps because of that, their evolution is more fluid, less stuck in internal conflict. kind of like how Trunks and Goten are, with more S cells in them, and with an enormous capacity to learn quickly. When Caulifla reaches Super Saiyan with just a few instructions, or when Kale reveals her Berserker mode without even understanding what's happening, we see there's a natural ease there, almost a genetic predisposition to reach states that Universe 7 Saiyans only accessed through enormous suffering. It's as if the race has evolved, refined over time. More emotional lightness, more internal control, and that can represent not just a power leap, but a biological efficiency leap. This contrast between evolution through pain and spontaneous evolution through instinct opens space to reflect on Frieza's race. Unlike the Saiyans, members of Frieza's race are born with absurd destructive power. Frieza himself had never trained a day in his life and was still the strongest being in the universe, until Goku and the others started catching up. It was only after his resurrection that he trained for the first time, for 4 months, and reached golden form, something that even shocked the gods of destruction. What does this tell us? That biologically, his race is far above the universal average. But pride, arrogance, and the lack of necessity kept him from exploring this potential. He's like a genius who never studied because he always got perfect scores without trying. But when he starts training seriously, like when he appears as Black Frieza after 10 years in the time chamber from another universe, he becomes something so monstrous that not even Goku and Vegeta together can touch him. Now think about Frost, who's from the same race. He has the same genetic traits. He started with a calmer, almost heroic appearance, but revealed himself to be a manipulator, cunning, ambitious, just not more than Frieza himself, because Frieza masters this field. He acts from the shadows, lies, deceives, seduces with words. But unlike Frieza, who ignored training until recently, Frost might have the spirit of a learner disguised as a wolf in sheep's clothing. He was bothered when he saw Frieza being stronger. He resented it, and it was precisely that discomfort that may have planted in him the desire to grow. At a certain point after the tournament in Dragon Ball Super, Frost tries to train to reach his own version of the golden form, even though he doesn't master it well. This shows something important. He wants to surpass his limits. And that, in the world of Dragon Ball, is the first step to true evolution. This movie could bring him back in golden form or even more advanced. I don't think stronger than Frieza though, because the black form is overwhelming, but it'll be something that'll surely make Vegeta awaken something, and yes, it will. And it would serve as an introduction to Frieza's return after this journey in Universe 6, which has a lot to be explored in the manga after the movie. Now, if we combine all this, the natural potential of Frieza's race, the growth instinct of Universe 6 Saiyans, and Frost's silent ambition along with the humiliation he suffered and kept to himself, we begin to see a real scenario where Frost could, one day, surpass Frieza. Because unlike the tyrant from Universe 7, who spent eras relying on his own superiority, Frost lives in the shadows. He needs to prove himself. He has rage, he has desire, he's thirsty for revenge. If he could find a mentor or a training method like Frieza's in the time chamber, or even follow his own path by mixing intelligence, strategy, and physical improvement, he could develop new forms never seen before. Maybe even something like a Black Frost, with unique characteristics. But I think they'll bring something different. Even though it's a new saga, it's still too early for him to surpass Frieza. That would be too insane and unworkable for Goku, Vegeta, and the Universe 6 Saiyans. What defines power in Dragon Ball isn't just blood, it's the desire to break limits. The Universe 6 Saiyans showed there are faster and more intuitive ways to evolve. Maybe Frieza's race also has a similar evolutionary path, and only now is Frieza starting to explore it. If Frost manages to find this path before being destroyed again, he could become a threat even to the gods of destruction. After all, what Frieza did with 10 years of training shows that his people have absurd potential. And since Frost shares the same blood, he is the raw material. What he lacked was the shock of defeat, the direct confrontation with his own inferiority. And he already had that. Now he has a reason. And the reason, in Dragon Ball, is what turns a nobody into a legend. In a universe where Saiyans have become gods, a warrior from Frieza's race still has room to surpass them, if he knows how to walk his own path. Frost may not be the most powerful villain today, but maybe he's the most unpredictable. And that, as we've seen before, is the kind of threat the universe takes seriously. It would be the perfect script for this new saga and new cycle, and maybe in the future, even Frieza joins the saga in the manga after the movie and teams up with Frost and says it was all part of a plan for the future. In Dragon Ball Super, anything can happen. All we can do is wait.